ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. So we continue from our previous class. We were discussing the conversation that took place on 8th April 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was talking about the glory of the Lord's name. What does it do to a person? So he says, by repeating his name means the Lord's name, you rid yourself of all your sins. Lust, anger, desire for creature comforts, and all the rest disappear. But the devotee who is sitting in front, he seems to have a problem with this. But he says, who likes to repeat his name? When he's expressing his predicament that no doubt we know the solution, the simplest solution to all our problems of life, whether they are worldly or spiritual. The easiest and the best way is to repeat the name of the Lord. But the devotee has some confusion or some reservation. He says, but we normally see who likes to repeat his name, though it is a very simple solution. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, pray to God with a longing heart so that you may develop a taste for his name. He always fulfills one's wishes. So if you can fulfill your other wishes, whatever else you ask, for example, Sri Ramakrishna used to give a beautiful example. He said, mother is very neutral. A mother, no matter, there are different children with different natures. Each child has a different demand, and the mother is kind to accommodate all of them. So that is the example he gives. And Sri Ramakrishna also says, Lord is kind, and the mother, some children want to play with toys. Maybe they're very small, very young. So she gives the child toys. But that doesn't mean that she wants the children to always play with the toys. When the time for playing is over and the child himself or herself, the small child, gets tired and then he feels hungry or maybe he wants to be with his mother, the child starts crying. So Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example. He said, till you are busy with the toys, the mother is happy. Why should she disturb you? Because you are enjoying your toys. And the mother says, okay, it's the time for him to play with the toys. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out here, he will fulfill whatever wish you have. If you want money, he'll give you money. But when you are done with that, when you are at some stage of your life, you understand, especially when we think of the impermanence of those things which are not going to help us in our spiritual journey, and the very prospect of leaving things behind, the worry, anxieties that it causes. Who will use my money? What will happen? Should I make a will? So many things. People are even not happy after having earned so much of wealth, hard earned wealth, and when they come towards the end of their life, they are worried because they have enough wealth, but they don't know how to spend it, or maybe what will happen. Unfortunately, there is no provision for taking that wealth with us. So at that time, it's like the child finishing his play. He understands that the toys are no longer giving the child joy. So he cries, and then the mother says, okay, if you don't want to play with the toys, I'll take you. And then the mother takes the child. So similarly, Sri Ramakrishna says, God fulfills all your wishes. Uh, what exactly do you want to ask of him? Or what exactly is your wish? That is to be decided by you. And he will fulfill it. Saying this, he sings in a very sweet voice. He is trying to understand the difficulty the devotee is expressing when he says, very honestly, he says, who likes to repeat the name? There's so many important things to do in life. Why should I? People normally don't like to repeat the name of the Lord. It's only when there's nothing else to do and when everything else in the world is done and when we are approaching death, then we think of the Lord. So, saying this, Sri Ramakrishna says, don't blame the Lord for this. Overwhelmed by the sorrows of man, he expresses to the Divine Mother the pangs he feels in his heart. He is feeling for these devotees who are expressing their inability even to take the Lord's name. So he says, bringing upon himself the state of an ordinary human being, he is imagining Sri Ramakrishna here, though he was always repeating the name of the Lord, he can understand what is the condition of a person who is unable to repeat his name. He talks to the Divine Mother of the suffering of humanity. So for him it is a suffering. For others, those who are busy with their toys, it is not a suffering. Suffering comes only when he is tired of the toys. So he says, "O Mother Shama," this is a beautiful song by, I think the song was written by mm, Dasharathi. Dasharathi is one of the devotees, one of the famous devotees of Mother Kali. Shama means the dark one. So Shyam, for example, in Sanskrit means dark, dark one. When you refer to the male deity, that is Krishna. Krishna was supposed to be dark, so we call him Sham. And the same thing, if you add Shama, that is the dark one, but dark goddess, the mother Kali. So Kali is also known as Shama. So most of the songs in Bengal, they will address Mother Kali as Shama. So he says, "Oh Mother Shama, it is not anybody's fault." I'm giving the the meaning of the song. The original song is in Bengali. Dosh Karo Naigo Ma. That is the Bengali original. Dosh Karo. Karo means it is nobody's fault. Oh dear mother, it's not anybody's fault that man is suffering. He says, I myself am drowning in the well that I have dug. I have dug a well, not realizing that when I go on digging a well, if I don't make any provision to come out of that well by keeping a ladder or some other provision, then I will be drowning in the because the water will start coming when you start digging a well. So it's a very beautiful way of expressing that how I am drowning in the well that I have myself dug. So why should I blame you or anyone else? What are the different instruments or the different implements that I've used to dig this well? I've dug this well on a sacred land, and now, unfortunately, I'm drowning in that. The water is coming gushing out. As you go on digging, slowly the water tries to, I mean, you find a trickle of water, then suddenly maybe you hit a spring and then suddenly the water starts flowing. So he says, I've dug this well with six things, six passions. So it's a figurative way of trying to show our predicament or express our predicament that we are drowning in the well that we have dug with our own hands using these six things. What are those six things? Lust, anger, greed, attachment, pride, and envy. See, these are in Sanskrit also. It is in Bengali also. They are known Indian languages. It is known as Shadapasha, Shadaripu, not Shadapasha, Ashtapasha. Eight things that bind a man. That is different. Whereas six ripus, six enemies of a human being. First is lust, then anger, greed, attachment, pride, and envy. So these are the various tools that I have used to dig the well. I have been digging and now I realize that I am drowning in the very well that I have dug. And the spade, these are the spades, the different types of spades: lust, anger, greed, attachment, pride, and envy. This well is now full of the waters of Kala. Kala means actually literally it means time. There is a famous magazine, people are so keen to know what future has in store for us. Future, past, and present. Everything is dependent on time. So it is known as Kala. Kala, mm, Mahakala. Mahakala means the great. Mahakala means uh, the great. You can say that it is called as time of death. That is the Mahakala when we finally have to our time in this physical body ends. So it is known as Mahakala. But before that, he says Kala. The well now is full of the waters of Kala or time. Slowly, every second, we are wasting one moment of our life. It is slowly we are going from present to the future. Slowly. Past, leaving the past behind. So, Kala is something which is slowly consuming us. So, that is why death is also known as Kala. So Mahakala means the final, when you finally get rid of the body. But till then, slowly, it is a slow death, but it is the waters of Kala are filling this well that I have dug with my own hands, with these six spades of lust, anger, greed, attachment, pride, and envy. Oh, the heart throb of death. Now he is referring to mother as the beloved. Kala in normally in Indian tradition, Kala is Shiva himself. Shiva is supposed to be the Lord of death. Just as we have Brahma, the Lord of birth or creation, Vishnu who helps us to maintain, and it's nothing but a wonderful explanation of this law of causation. Causation presupposes a past, a present, and a future. Without that, there is no causation. If there is no causation, there is no idea of time. Time and space, they give rise to causation. Time, space, and causation. This is our life. We move in space, we move in time, and slowly go towards death. That is how, figuratively, the filling of uh, the well which I have myself dug, and the drowning symbolizes uh, ultimately we are traveling towards death slowly. So he says, but you means Mahakali. That is why the two words are used. Mahakala is Shiva, Mahakali is Parvati or Kali or all the goddesses. They hasten our, they represent the Mahakali, that is, she is responsible for consuming time. Literally, it is like time is consuming us. Our life is limited, it is fixed, at least in the physical body. Of course, we survive, the subtle body continues to exist, and then we take up another body. But the color for this body, but she, that is Mahakali, if you see the wonderful image, stone image in Dakshineshwar, Kali is standing on the chest of Shiva, who is lying prostrate on the floor, and she is dancing on his chest. So the play of time is on the chest of Shiva, who is beyond time. He is Mahakala. He is the ultimate consciousness on which this temporary nature means Prakriti or Mahakali, she is playing her divine drama. Somebody is born, then they live, and then they die. And she is herself the beloved of death. That means the Mahakala, who is Shiva, that is the symbology behind all our images. It is deeply philosophical in meaning. It has a meaning. It's not just why Kali dancing on the chest of a Shiva. People somehow don't seem to understand this. The idea is that the great deliverer, that is the timeless reality, is lying prostrate, and on that the dance of Prakriti, which is ever changing, which doesn't allow us to uh, be one with Shiva. That Prakriti, of course, she can take you to that ultimate Shiva. That's why she is the heart throb of death. Oh, beloved of death. Oh, my Redeemer, how can I save myself? Now he is realizing that now you see, I have dug this well. Now I have no one else to blame. I'm not blaming anyone in the world. I have dug my own well with my six passions, the spades I have dug. And now the waters are trying to consume me. Now you have to save me. You can redeem me. How can I save myself? Oh, the embodiment of the three gunas. We sing this uh, prayer every day after our arti. The last prayer is to address to the Divine Mother, where Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trembake Devi Narayani Namostute. So this Narayani who is made of three gunas. So you can rid me of these modes through your powers. You have the powers. You have created tamas, made me tamasic, made me uh, uh, commit all these faults because it is because of your gunas. So, no doubt I have done it. I should have listened to your advice. But anyway, I have made this mistake. Only you can rid me of the three gunas because you are gunamayi. You have through your gunas you are playing this drama in the world, the whole drama of life, uh, creation, preservation, and destruction, ultimate destruction. Everything is done by you. So I don't know how to save myself because these waters are consuming me. Be, uh, I'm going to drown soon. But you can rescue me. You can rid me of these modes. You can somehow gunas are compared to the ropes that tie you. The tamas or the tamasic guna binds you more. Rajasic binds you a little less, and sattva is the one that ultimately releases you. That is why these three powers, different permutations and combinations of these three powers, are these three ropes. Guna means literally it means a rope. The Sanskrit word guna is it literally means that which binds. What does bind? A rope or a chain, whatever it is. So gunas can you can get rid of these ropes with which you have tied the whole creation by unloosening them because it is your power that has bound us, the jiva, and your power only can release, untie the knots. Then he says, how can I save myself from these waters of death? Thinking of it, I shed an unceasing flow of tears. I'm not crying now because I've lost my property or money or I've lost my near and dear ones. That period is gone. Now I am worried about my own future. I am crying now by the prospect of getting drowned in a well that I have dug myself. Till now, I was crying for somebody else because I lost this, I lost that. But now, please tell me, I am just thinking of the prospect of getting drowned. I am shedding an unceasing flow of tears. So he's literally pleading to the Divine Mother to save him. Before the level of the water of death was not so high. It was maybe just coming up to the knees. So I was not worried because the flow was very gradual and I was not even bothered. The flow was not so, but now it is rising to my chest. So now it has almost come to a point where I have to now rescue myself. When it was up to my ankles or maybe up to my feet, it was fine. But now the level of water of death was not so high, but now it is rising to my chest. How can I save myself? Oh, my mother, you are my only refuge. Oh, mother, please liberate me. You can take me across by a single glance of yours. So, this is the prayer that he sings. And then he gives the solution. This is a problem. The same poet he sings another song, and Sri Ramakrishna is repeating those songs for the benefit of the devotees who are sitting there. Then he says, this delirious fever of mankind can be cured only by one's love for her name. So, by giving her name or by repeating the name of the Lord and by praying to her or him, her name, in this case, the Ishta, a deity whom the poet is worshipping is Ma Kali. So, it is her name. It can be his name also. So the song says, O Mother Shankari, Shankara and Shankari, the wife of Shankara is Shankari. You are the great, O Mother Shankari, O great physician. What a delirious fever I suffer, in spite of the grace of thy feet. You have been gracious to me, but still you make me suffer. All this fever represents the fever of passion that has led to my downfall. So you are the great physician. Why am I having this fever or this type of passion for things of the world? This perishable, transitory pride of mine is consuming me in its flames. What depraved attachment I have developed for me and mine. See, Shankaracharya always, when it comes to ego, it is not just I. I is harmful, but mine is more harmful. First, we have to get rid of the idea of mine. So, whenever Shankaracharya speaks of the ego, which is causing problems to every being, it is because of the ego that we are uh, away, or maybe we are not connected to God. So, the depraved attachment is not just because of me. If you just say I, it is not so harmful. But when you say mine, aham and mama, aham means me, mama means mine. First of all, that ego is difficult to root out. Then we connect many things which we think are ours: the land, the property, the money, the children, the grandsons, everything is mama, my. So he says, when will I get rid? This fever is because of the me, the fever is of me and mine. How can I sustain my life? My desire for wealth and friends is ceaseless. So much that I and mine is going on increasing every day. I'm increasing my attachments, increasing my connections, increasing my social interactions, and that is causing more problems. So instead of reducing, it is increasing. So what shall I do? How can I sustain? O bestower of all goodness, I continue to indulge in these things, knowing fully well they are illusory. None of them are of a permanent nature, in wrongdoings, in committing sinful acts, and so on. So, Dasharati, the poet, says, my eyes are full of the deep sleep of Maya, and my stomach is filled with the worm of violence. I am revolving as in a whirlpool of illusory action. I am developing night and day distaste for your name. And on the top of that, I know the solution is this solution, or the permanent medicine for this is repeating your name, holy name. But even that I have developed a distaste. So Sri Ramakrishna used to uh, give this example. In fact, he will give it now. He says, I am developing this distaste. The only solution, permanent solution to my problems, both worldly and spiritual, are uh, is repetition of the name, and I have a distaste for the very name that I can save me. So what can I do? I mean, what should I do? Then Sri Krishna, after singing this song, he is trying to explain. He says, developing distaste for your name. If in disease you develop distaste, you have no possibility of being saved. If you retain a bit of taste, there is a good hope of cure. So he gives the example. He says people, when due to in those days they didn't have very powerful antibiotics and other things. So typhoid and other diseases normally resulted in a distaste for food. So a person stopped eating. He could not even drink water. He developed, and then it was considered to be fatal, because when that distaste for food uh, sets in, then the typhoid cannot be cured. So by some medicine, by something or some other means, they wait for the patient to develop some taste so that he starts eating again. And once he starts eating food and taking water, then slowly he'll return to normalcy. So he's giving this example. He said, oh mother, please restore the taste for your name, for repeating your name, because that is the only remedy, or that is the only medicine. There is no hope of any cure. Uh, no doubt it is a solution, it is a good medicine. But this medicine will work only if I consume it, but I have no taste for food or taste for anything. Yeah. So then the Lord's name must be repeated. Call the Lord by any name, Durga, Krishna, Shiva, or any other. Said any name is effective or capable of making you reach the highest. So he says, if while repeating the name your love increases day by day, if you feel joy, then there is no danger. You are sure to be cured. His grace is sure to fall on you. So, first, the devotee who was present there is expressing his inability. First, Sri Ramakrishna says that he sings that song. He says, I have dug this well. I have started digging the well, not realizing that if I don't make any provision to come out of the well, I cannot be saved because someday or the other, as I go on deeper and deeper, the well which I dig with the six passions as spades, one day when the water starts filling the well, then I have to make some arrangement for coming out of the well. Otherwise, I'll drown in the very well that I have dug. And then what is the saving grace or what? How can you be saved from this predicament? So then he says you have to develop taste for the repetition of the holy name, which is the only solution. The one who is drowning you can save you. That's the idea. So here he is telling mother who has, and in fact, you see, the poet is not blaming the mother. He said it is just like a child. He cannot blame the mother if he has an inordinate attachment for the toys. If he keeps on playing, then he is likely to be hungry and he is likely to lose so many things. So only when he's tired, so he says, I'm not blaming you. I only asked for the toys, and mother is impartial. She will give you the toys to play. And if you do not listen or do not use your wisdom to stop the play when you need to stop, then you will be drowning yourself. It is just Thakur is comparing, Sri Ramakrishna is comparing. Said, I went on digging the well, not realizing that I need some ladder or something, some means of escape when the water starts gushing out from the rocks. I mean, the rocks that he's digging. And now they have already come to my chest, and I'm very soon going to drown. So now I don't know how to escape. But since one of the ways of escape is to repeat the holy name, but unfortunately, the devotee who is sitting in front, he says, but we normally see none of us have developed a taste, how to develop a taste for the Lord's name. Taste in the sense how to force ourselves to like the repetition of the holy name, which is a solution to this eternal problem of life and death. So he says the name must be repeated. He said somehow by constant repetition, if you develop a taste, then you are saved. That is what he's saying. If while repeating the name, your love increases day by day, if you feel joy, then there is no danger. Then you are sure to be cured sooner or later. His grace is sure to fall on you. Then is the conversation is going on. Then the subheading of this topic is sincere bhakti versus artificial bhakti. God only cares for the attitude or the state of mind that you have, not what you do, not how many times you, how many hours you meditate. He doesn't bother, even if it is a few seconds. The main thing is love and the taste or the devotion with which you repeat his name. So he is comparing sincere bhakti or sincere devotion with artificial bhakti. It's just for show that I sit for so many hours and all those things. So he says, and he gives a very, it is a bit crude example, but he gives a wonderful example. He says, as the state of your mind, so is your gain. And he gives, you'll find throughout the gospel, he has made philosophy so simple. That is why it is very essential to understand or read and try to meditate, not just read, not just with the idea of understanding some philosophy, which is just an academic exercise. But here the idea is these simple stories, just as Buddha did and Christ did before You will find Christ used to tell a lot of parables. People want theology, they want to go to organized religion, but they don't realize the original. We have to go back to go back to Christ, go back to his original utterances. They are more than enough. They are enough in the sense we have to meditate on them more and more and allow them to sink into our consciousness. So Sri Ramakrishna's stories, when you read this, it apparently it's a very simple story. The very idea of well, how we create our own, how we create problems for ourselves by going on digging deeper and deeper without realizing that one day the very waters for which we have dug the well, will drown us. So also he says, uh, repeating the name is important, but how you repeat it, with what attitude, it's the mind, the state of your mind that is important while you repeat. Two friends walking together saw the Bhagavata being recited at a place on the way. So two friends, of course, they had their own faults and other things. But they were passing and they heard there is a small gathering and Bhagavata was being explained. One of them said, "Come, friend, let us go and listen to the recitation of Bhagavata. Something nice is being discussed, the name of the Lord, the glory of the Lord. So let us go." So both of them go. His friend looked in, but shortly both went in, but somehow the other friend was more interested. So he went to uh, a red light area, which was not a good area. He was, of course, obviously given to evil dispositions. So naturally, he could not enjoy the peaceful and the holy atmosphere of this Bhagavata. So he said, he looked in, but he just said, "You sit here. If you are interested, I am not interested." So he leaves. Apparently, the friend was making a blunder. But you see, after leaving and going to that other place, he felt that, see, my friend is so lucky. He sat listening to the Bhagavata, and I have come and doing this evil act here. So he was disgusted with himself and thought, shame on me. While my friend is listening to the story of Lord Hari, look where I have brought myself. On the other hand, the fellow was listening to the Bhagavata. Now, that is another funny twist to this story. He says the fellow was actually physically present and listening to the Bhagavata. Apparently, it was a holy act. In the eyes of the people of the world, it's a holy act. But he was regretting. He was also feeling regret. He said to himself, "What a fool I am. This fellow is talking nonsense and I sit here listening to it." For him, it was nonsense because his samskaras were like that. He said, "See how my friend must be enjoying himself." So now, this is the. But then, uh, when both these men died, he was listening to the Bhagavata, was taken away by a messenger of death. This is a story. And he who had gone to a prostitute was taken to Vaikuntha, the Vishnu's abode, by a messenger of Vishnu. So Bhagavan sees the mind. Then they were confused. Then the person who was listening, who had listened to the Bhagavata, I said, "I was there and you have punished me." But he said, "You were in the temple or you were in that place where Bhagavata was being read, but your mind was always trying to imagine how lucky my friend is, what maybe, what is what is he doing right now, and like a fool I'm sitting here." Whereas that fellow had genuine repentance. He was there, but his mind was where his friend was. He thought he must be so lucky he is listening to this holy discourse. So naturally, God sees the attitude or the mind, not what we do or what we do not do. What is the attitude we have towards uh, the things of the world? So Bhagavan sees the mind. He doesn't care who is doing what or where one is. Janardana is one of the names of the Lord, knows the innermost thought. So while initiating a disciple in the Karta Bhaja sect, they tell him means the Guru tells the disciple. He gives the mantra or he may initiates him, but he tells him there is saying mantor, it's in Bengali. Now it is mantor, tor means yours. Man means mind. So mantra in Bengali, it's a pun on the word. They'll say, I have given you the mantra, but now it is mantor. Means it is mantra, it is mantra. Now it is your mind. In Bengali, mantor means man, your mind. Now, how you accept or practice this mantra is, and how much benefit you gain from it is your problem. I have given what I have to give. That is to say, now it all depends on your mind. The Guru is telling the disciple that I have given what I have to give. Now, how you make use of it, it will all now be reduced to your mind. So, how your mind accepts it, how your mind practices it, how your mind rejects it, everything will depend on that. Don't blame the mantra or the Guru for the what. So that is why in the Karta Bhaja sect, there is a particular way of sadhana in a particular Hindu way. So there, after giving the mantra, there's kind of warning, or it's kind of cautioning. The disciple is cautioned. I have given the mantra, but now it is mantor, means your mind. So your mind has to decide how you make use of that mantra. They say that he who has the right kind of mind acts correctly and achieves the right end because of the powers of his mind. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is giving another example of Hanuman, the great devotee. So, he did not have, like the other monkeys and the other members of the army of Rama, to build a bridge to cross because he had a mind full of faith in the name of Rama. Because of the powers of his mind, Hanuman could cross the ocean without building a bridge. He used to say, I am a servant of Rama. I repeat his name. So, what is impossible for me? He had this faith. So, it all depends on the faith, not what you do, how much repetition you do. Then, Sri Ramakrishna, the conversation is still going on, but M says, why one cannot see the Lord? Now, that is because of egoism, one's own egoism. So, the role an ego plays, we discussed that ego is of two types. Ego has two manifestations. One is the feeling that me, and another is mine. So, as it is the problem of resolving the problems that we face because of a inflated ego are strong enough. It is the ego which doesn't accept things. It is the ego that leads to strong likes and dislikes, strong hatred. Uh, you feel it is because of the ego. Buddha, as Buddha pointed out, when people were scolding, Ananda used to get upset. He said, "It's why do you take ownership of what words the other person is uttering? It is only when your ego comes into picture, you think he is scolding you. But if you don't accept it, then the words do not belong to you. They may fall upon your ears, you may hear it, but if you don't own it, if you don't refuse to accept it, it's because of ego that we accept. And once we accept, the stronger the reaction, the more ego you have. So he says egoism is dangerous enough. So I say I have been scolded or I have been cursed, and then I react to it, and that causes enough problems. Aham causes problems, but mama causes more problems. We complicate aham and results in mama, I and mine. These are the two major problems. I is a problem in itself. That is something which we cannot root out. And then we add mama to that. Mama means mine. So first it is just I. What is renunciation? You give up possessions. Why do you give up? Because that mama has to be reduced. Mama is compounding the effect of the ego by saying, "Oh, this is mine." So you feel hurt if you think the whole community. Say, for example, you think the whole family is mine. No doubt, people will think it is my family. So anybody hurts the family, you feel hurt because it is mama, mama, my family, my family. Similarly, it can be extended to a society or a community, my country. Then you feel hurt if any one of your countrymen is hurt. So that ego keeps on inflating. So aham is itself a problem, but mama adds more and more problems. So aham and mama has to be got rid of. So that is why he gives so many wonderful examples. He says, because of ego, I don't realize the great truths. As long as one retains one's I-ness, ahankara, one is ignorant. As long as egoism persists, there is no liberation. Then he gives one of the a very important example, which is not to be found in any scriptures. Many of the other examples you can find in Buddha or maybe some of our Sanskrit scriptures, but this is the original one. Sri Ramakrishna used to, Kamarpukur, the place where he was born, is full of cows. So they make a sound, they bellow, they say hamba, hamba. That is the how they. Goats also bleat, he says in Bengali, hamba, hamba, that is the sound they make. And the goats bleat, me, me, and me means me, me. For this reason, he says they have to suffer. See how they have to suffer because day and night, hamba means aham. In Bengali, it means he says directly or indirectly, the cows and the goats are full. I am repeating me and mine, me and mine. So me is itself a problem, and we add so many things to that, which is known as mama. This is uh, my family, my relatives, my things, so many things. So for that, Sri Ramakrishna is giving a very, very simple example and saying that the cows bellow hamba hamba and the goats bleat may. For this reason, they have to suffer a lot. That means he is trying to give show how ego uh, torments a person, torments himself until he gives it up. He says, the goat and the cow suffers. The butchers, see, he gives a very graphic description. He says, the butcher slaughters them. The butcher slaughters them and makes shoes, drums, and hides out of their skin. So the leather, first of all, they have to be killed. After killing, also, there's no end to the misery because their skins are removed and they make shoes which on which are used by people and which are trampled upon, drums and hides. There is no end to their suffering. In the Hindi language, hum and may both mean I. Whether you say it in Hindi or Bengali, hum means I, and may both mean I. The uttering of may leads to more and more suffering. At last, the butcher finally says, when do you get rid? He gives an example. When does the goat or the cow, first it is killed, then its skin is also used and it is tortured, its skin is removed, and then drums are made, shoes are made of the leather. So there is no end to their suffering. That's in a figurative way Sri Ramakrishna is explaining, though it's a bit crude. But then he says, at last, the butcher makes strings with the guts of these animals. So he says, the butcher, they eat the flesh, they remove the skin, they use it. Even that is being made use of. And then finally, he says, the suffering ends only when you give up the ego. How? He says, with the intestines, in those days, the carder who makes cotton, who uses uh, a instrument where there is a string made, very strong string made of the guts. They used to use the animal guts, the guts of these animals, whether it is goat or cow. When the carder uses the string in his bow, he makes, there is a bow. In those days, they used to card it with the hand, the cotton, and then they used to make threads out of it. So the carder uses the string in his bow. It produces, when he makes a sound, if you see, it makes the sound of tuhu tuhu. That is what Sri Ramakrishna. See, he's trying to show that that is to say you. In Hindi or in Bengali, me, and hamba, hamba. Hum is I. As long as you say I, mine, you'll suffer. That is what he's trying to convey through this story. But when finally the after so much of suffering, because people who have inflated egos and both aham and mama are very predominant, then they will have strong likes, strong dislikes for people, and every like, dislike because of this ego, which is known as asmita in yoga. Asmita means that I-ness. So the more you have the feeling, that's why they say children are the most happy because they don't have a very strong ego. They just go, they just accept everything. Their minds are not egoistic, and they don't have this idea. They play with their toys and they're ready to give it to somebody. So as long as they don't grow, as long as the ego doesn't develop in a child, he's happy, he's peaceful. That is why Swamiji said in California when he gave a talk on Jnana Yoga, he said something very significant. He says when a child he is born with so much of innocence, joy, pure joy, no anxiety, no worry. But he says, unfortunately, the society is such that it robs the child of its innocence. The society robs the child of its innocence. So it it facilitates the development of the ego. Every time we are told that you should do better than your friends, you should top the class, and then that I goes on inflating without realizing when we grow up that this very ego is leading us to all the problems. Then Swamiji says, society robs him of his innocence. He has used the word robs. Like he is totally destroying the innocence of the child by making him complicated, making him jealous, making him envious, all the different bad qualities society teaches him. He becomes more and more selfish. He says more and more aham and mama, mine, me, mine. And then he is selfish. He's so selfish that even he may disregard the needs of other people, his own family or his own neighbors and the society around him. He becomes intensely selfish, and that leads to more and more suffering, like the cows and the goat. Their skin, their everything is used. Then when they say tuhutu, then Swami Vivekananda says, society robs him of his innocence and he becomes sad, miserable, anxious. And spirituality is a means. Spiritual practices help that uh, disturbed personality to go back and to regain that innocence. So, how beautifully he has put it. As children, they were born pure, born innocent, born happy, born without worry. See a small child. That's why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, a Paramahansa has the nature of a 5-year-old child. He's happy. If things come to him, he's happy. If somebody fights with him, also he's happy. Everything is a play for him. He doesn't take anything seriously. And he doesn't even have likes and dislikes, strong likes and dislikes. It is only when it grows up, the environment around him, the people around him, they tell him this is good, this is bad, this is uh, so many likes and dislikes are there. So, Swami Vivekananda says, when you practice spirituality, what exactly happens is you get rid of this I and mine and go back to the original state, the pure, pristine, pure state when you were that you regain your childhood. That is why in the Bible, when the disciples, the close disciples of Christ, if you see some of the most important teachings in the Bible, he disclosed only to his intimate disciples, not to the public. So he was going, and everybody was keen to develop spiritually, and manifest the spirit, divine spirit within. So they were all following. Then suddenly Jesus stops And then he says, he points out to some small children who were playing with so much of joy. He says, unless you be like them, that means unless you regain your innocence, the kingdom of heaven will be closed to you. It will not be open. So if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you can go there only as little children. That means if you go with the ego which has been destroyed, only you can gain entrance to the kingdom of God or the kingdom of heaven. So here also Sri Ramakrishna says, when he finally, the very intestine of the person who has been killed, the flesh has been eaten, slaughtered. First, the butcher has to slaughter. So it's difficult for the ego to be tamed. So shoes and drums are made, the hides are made of their skin, and so many things. Then finally, from aham or hum and may, the goats, they will produce this sound which is made of the thread of that, the string that is made. Finally, when you ring it, it says tuhu tuhu. Tuhu means not me, not mine, but yours. So that is the height of spirituality. When you surrender, say, God, it is yours. You have uh, put me here. It is you who have to save me. You and you only. It is only when one says tuhu, you and you, that one is saved and there is no more suffering. That is when finally the suffering ends. Oh Lord, you are the doer and I am a non-doer. I am an instrument. This is what constitutes jnana, the highest spiritual wisdom. It is only when you become lowly that you can rise. The chatak bird has its nest near the ground, but it can soar at high altitudes. Means you have to give up this ego. So here he says only when though the chataka bird has its nest near the ground, it can soar at high altitudes. Farming is not possible at high elevations. You need low land to farm. Water only collects on low land. Only there. That means if one is full of ego, puffed ego, that's compared to the highlands. There, water is not retained. Water is retained has a tendency to go gravitate down. So if a person is humble, if humility is there in a person, then they get the benefit. There is cultivation is possible only on the lower parts of the earth's surface. The higher you go, the more difficult it is to preserve and to water the plants. So cultivation is possible only on low land. Then he says one should take a little trouble to seek the company. So naturally, the devotee who was asking this question, why it is difficult to repeat the Lord's name, why it is difficult to give up all the passions, how to save oneself by from drowning in a well that we have dug ourselves. So he says one should take a little trouble to seek the company of the holy. At home, one only talks of worldly matters. There is always one ailment or the other. The parrot says Rama Rama only when it settles on a perch. While flying to the jungle, it only squawks. This is in some Indian parrots. I have not seen the parrots of other countries doing this, but Indian parrots can be those parrots which are found in India. They can be trained if you repeat certain things again and again. It has a tendency to reproduce it. So you can teach it to repeat Rama, for Rama is a holy name. So when it is on a perch, when it is trained and when it is there is holy company, that means the person who has taught it Rama Rama, it will say Rama Rama. But the moment it flies away into the forest, it goes into its natural habitat, then it only squawks. It will not say Rama there. But there's nobody to motivate it to repeat the holy name. There it will be its natural self. It will just squawk. So then he says, money does not make a man great. And a sign of a wealthy man is light in every room. Sri Ramakrishna always used to he never liked darkness. He said, even if you are poor, it doesn't matter, but you have to always seek light, because that is the psychology that light is something, a sign of wisdom. It symbolizes wisdom. So he says the money doesn't make a man great. Sign of a wealthy man is light in every room. Poor do not have the money to spend on oil. This just is giving an example. So real spiritual wealth is like, if it's like a poor man, if he's really poor, materially poor, he cannot spend on oil, so he cannot have many lights. So one who is spiritually poor, obviously he cannot have the wisdom, the light of wisdom. You see, one must not keep this temple of body in darkness. So he's comparing the dark room to the body. Now, a rich man, just as in the world, a rich man can afford to keep his room bright, whereas a poor man in a hut, perhaps he doesn't have the electric light, so he just lights a lamp enough to. So he says that is a sign of spiritual poverty, not material poverty, spiritual poverty. So similarly, one must light the lamp of jnana within. That's the idea, that a spiritually wise person, he should keep the lights always on, the light of knowledge. The light the lamp in the house and see the face of Mother Brahmamayi. This is a song. Brahmamayi means the blissful mother of the universe. So if you meditate on the effulgent image, that's why every meditation, you never meditate on a dull image. Whatever image, whatever ishta you have, two things you have to imagine. Otherwise, meditation doesn't become effective. First is Brahmamayi, that is full of joy. The image or the Ishta, whatever form you believe in, Rama, Krishna, Christ, Buddha, that image should be full of joy. You should at least try to imagine, superimpose that. And they were full of joy when they were living, Christ and the spiritual joy. So also, my mother in Bengali, she is also known as Brahmamayi. My mother Brahmamayi, she is full of the bliss of Brahman. So if you imagine, the second thing that you are asked to imagine during your meditation is it should be full of light. Light symbolizes wisdom. The darkness of ignorance that we see can be removed only when you switch on the lights. You can see things clearly. You can take wise decisions. You can make right choices in life if you have the spiritual wisdom. So light the lamp of jnana in the house, means in the body. Meditate on her as and see the blissful face of Mother Brahmamayi. Then he says, what is the real meaning of prayer? Any prayer that we do, and what are the marks of spiritual awakening? So Sri Ramakrishna is explaining everything now. He says everyone can attain jnana, that is spiritual wisdom. There is the individual self and the supreme being on whom you are meditating. One must pray to this God. Everyone can be united with the supreme self, that is light eternal, bliss eternal, joy eternal. Every house, he gives another example. In those days, Calcutta was the first one of the first towns where gas was supplied through pipes, and they used to light lamps using that gas. I think it was introduced for the first time. He says every house is fitted with gas pipes. Maybe in Dakshineshwar also, those who are rich could afford that. But one must apply to the gas company to receive the gas. The gas connection, if it is not there, how can you light the gas and how can there be light? When you file an application, the company will arrange for the gas and your house will be lit. The company has its office in Sealdah, that is a part of Calcutta. So they are all laughing. I mean, he was just joking, but he was giving a beautiful example that you have to light the gas and light the lamp with that gas. That means you have to connect yourself to the Supreme, which is like connecting yourself to the source of gas, so source of light. So when you meditate, you can meditate on a luminous image of the image who is full of bliss. Some people may become illumined. They have a special mark. Now, how to distinguish? How to find out if a person, now you can't take anybody's word for that. That if somebody says, I have a spiritual awakening, how? But you have to, there are certain characteristics. They have a special mark. They don't like to hear anything but words about the Lord. They don't like to talk of anything but the Lord. These are manifestation in person who has attained to spiritual illumination. Take, for example, the seven seas, seven oceans. The rivers of the Ganges and Jamuna, they are full of water. But the Chatak bird, there is a special bird. Maybe it is a mythical bird. I don't know whether it is biologically proven. But this Chatak bird wants only the raindrop. It is dying of thirst, but it will wait till it rains and it does not drink any other water. It does not want contaminated water. Even though the river water may be pure, the sea water, of course, is salty, but river water also it will not drink. It will wait patiently when the clouds uh, burst and when there is rain, it will just open its mouth. That is what they say. Chataka is a special kind of bird. It doesn't drink any other water. Then, then Sri Ramakrishna will sing a few songs. This conversation is going on. We'll continue it in the next class. So, are there any questions? So, if there are some questions, you can ask. Pardon? A little loudly. Yeah. Form. See, form. Pardon? Yeah, energy. See, that is your way of explaining God. But God is neither with form nor is with. It is your mind which gives it a form. It is your mind which gives it qualities. The psychological explanation is you need a form. You need most of us need a form to get rid of the forms that are disturbing us. So it's a purely psychological method. You have a name and a form. Everything that you see has a name and form. That is how Indian philosophy explains Nama Rupa. So everything, the moment you see one person, that form you simply hate. So it has a name. So you associate that person with a particular form and you hate, then you try to avoid. Suppose you like some forms you like because the form and the name go together. So the issue now is there are so many, due to force of habit, so many names and forms have come into our life, consciously or unconsciously, and they have created problems. So that is known as samsara, the moving problems. One problem goes, another comes. It may be a problem, it may somebody will come and solve a problem also. I'm not saying it's always problems. There are people who will come and solve the problem, the people who will cause problem. But anyway, it's an endless cycle that is going on. So that is why we need another form with which we associate peace, with which we associate wisdom, with which we associate some kind of joy, not some kind, highest joy. So all the other things are subsumed. When you meditate on a form, it is not the God Himself that you are worshipping. You are worshipping that form which can destroy the effect of smaller forms which are disturbing you. And as a result, you come in close contact, or maybe you come face to face with the highest reality, which is neither formless nor it is with form. It is a means you are using. See, for example, when there is no form, there is no problem. You can, of course, out of memory, you may create a form which you have seen. That person is not there, but you can sitting in your uh, room without being in touch with anyone, you can bring the forms and names of all the people with whom you have interacted and create a misery for yourself. That is what we do. Many times the form is not there, but form is in the mind. Similarly, the God whom you are seeing in the photo, or you're doing puja, you're doing worship, it is not, it is just a strong imagination where that form, peaceful form, is not like any other human being with whom you have interacted. When you say God is supposed to be full of wisdom, you superimpose those qualities, And whether it is Krishna, Rama, Buddha, they are not like us. They have overcome all the problems. They have realized the spirit, whether they came in human form or whether they are just deities. Now for us it is imagination. Just as sitting in your room, not being in touch with physically in touch with any person, you can still create a hell out of all your past memories, isn't it? That is how we have problems. We normally don't have to come in physical touch with somebody to make ourselves miserable. Even the remote memory of certain things which have happened uh, years and years ago, or maybe in the previous life, they come to the surface and you give it a form, you give it a name, and then you hate that person or you love that person. Whatever memories are there, they cloud your they disturb you. So, spiritual practices, the God, you don't have to understand whether he has a form. You have to replace all the forms that are disturbing you, all the names that are disturbing you, by a form and name which you consider to be very dear, which you call God, you call Avatara, you call deity. It can be a deity, it can be imaginary deity. Say, for example, Rama or Ganesha or any Shiva, some idea you have. He's peaceful, he's full of bliss, he's solved all the problems of life. No problem can touch him. He can even drink the poison and not be killed by it. So many qualities and great qualities we associated with, which we associated or we associate and commit them to our memory, they get superimposed or they destroy our ideas of the world that we live in. We have a very strong, unfortunately, we are not unbiased, we are very much biased. We have likes and dislikes. The world has always taught us these are good people, these are bad people. So we are not watching the world in a very neutral way. If we just watched the whole world like a painting or like a movie, then once the movie is over, you go back to your job. But we get involved in the movie. We get involved in the world. Every word somebody says, everything, every form that you see, it creates some reaction, creates disturbance. So the spiritual practice actually what it does, it brings in an idea of God, whichever idea, God with form, God without form, God as pure joy, God as light. You take any form, it doesn't matter. So that is the idea of God. It's an individual thing. We call it Ishta Devata. That's only in Hinduism. You have the freedom to choose the God. Nobody will tell you this is the only God you have to worship. This is the only idea of Godhead that our religion teaches, and you have to worship only that. If you worship any other, we don't say that. You worship God as light, you worship God as Shiva, you worship the 33 crore, they say. Hinduism doesn't mind if there are millions of gods, as long as you are solving your problem. So that is the idea of God. You can't say God is only this or God is only that. Okay? I hope I've answered. No, that is another way of expressing. You don't have a liking for male only. You have a strong feminist attitude. You'll say, why can't God be a woman? Okay. And then some people will say, I want both. God should be God if God is beyond everything. Ardhanarishwara means that. Actually, it has a lot of deep meaning. One is the Purusha and Prakriti. There is one supreme consciousness on which the same symbology is used in Kali temple. If you go to the Kali image in Dakshineshwar, Shiva is lying on the uh, floor and on his chest Kali is. So these are all different ways of expressing. You can meditate on Ardhanarishwara. You said God is okay. I want a form which is half male, half female. So some devotee has imagined that. It is fine. It's if it solves his problem, it is fine. You have an elephant god, the god with the elephant, Ganesha. Some people like Ganesha. Fine, if Ganesha solves his problem, who are we to tell him this is not right, this is right? You have to worship only Allah, or you have to worship only God in heaven, Father in heaven. You can worship anyone. That is the beauty of Hinduism. You use any symbology, anything that helps you to get rid of the forms and the names that are disturbing you. So that is the ultimate form, the ultimate solution to your literal smaller problems. Okay? There are many. Ardhanarishwara is just one example. You can take any form. God can come as a serpent, God can come as a stone symbol, God can come. You can worship sun as God, the sun, bright sun. So it all depends on your likes, Ishta Devata. We call it Ishta, that which I like, that which, yeah.
Sorry, that's the one.
Yeah, you can ask.
My question was, because you mentioned like different religions, and I was wondering how can you reconcile like contradictions in things like reincarnation and karma that are very specific to Eastern religions.
We don't need to see, we don't need to reconcile. There's nothing to reconcile. It is a question of what you see. Can you ever reconcile take any worldly matter, forget spiritual truths, any worldly matter? Suppose you say, I love football. How can you reconcile with another fellow who says football is one of the worst games? I like only cricket. Are you going to solve this problem? You can't solve even a simple problem like that. So reconciliation is not possible. There is going to be diversity in this world. Even a simple thing, somebody will say, I like more salt. Somebody will say, I like less salt. Now, can you ever reconcile? You will say, let me eat the food I want to eat. You eat the way you like it. So, reconciliation is not achievable in this changing world. But at the same time, your question is important because unless we reconcile in some way or the other, there will be fights. So Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful solution. He says, you don't have to reconcile, but you don't have to insist that your way is the only way. That is the only way you can reconcile. There may be, you say, if you don't believe in karma, fine. Buddhists believe in karma, Jains believe in karma, and Hindus believe in karma. If somebody says, I don't believe, fine. If something else, believing in karma helps you believe in that. It's all belief, isn't it? It's all something that it's a creation of our mind. Everything boils down to the mind. That is why even after giving the mantra, the Guru tells him, now it is, I have given what I have given. Now how you use it, I will give you a knife. If you want, you can kill people with that, or you can use that knife for cutting vegetables or cooking. Now, it's not the fault. There's no reconciliation. You may ask, see, this same knife, somebody is killing, going on killing everyone. The other fellow is making good use. Now, how do you reconcile? They are going to be different. No matter how much you tell him, he's not going to cut vegetables. He's going to stick his knife in somebody's stomach because that is how his mind is. So, according to our mind, we have to. That is why Sri Krishna comes in the picture. He was the first who said, God is formless, God is without form, whatever you like, but be sincere. Believe and hold on to your belief. Then only you will succeed. That's the idea. Whichever path. I am not saying those who believe in karma only will get salvation. Those who don't believe in karma, those who believe in only one life, like the Semitic religions do, they say there's only one life. In fact, for some people, it may be very good because they will not postpone things for the next life. Hindus can be very relaxed. Oh, this life let us enjoy, next life we'll do sadhana. So, in a way, it can be dangerous also. Whereas they will say we have only one life, either go to hell or go to heaven. So it all depends on the mind. If that philosophy suits somebody, why not? He'll be taking life very seriously. Whatever his belief is, he will take it seriously. Say, I have only one life. I don't believe in law of karma. So whatever I have to do, whatever my religion tells me to do, if I'm sincere, that's fine.
And then sort of essentially it doesn't matter anyway because
Yeah, essentially, you have to see the unity in diversity. They speak the same truth, but in different ways. Since there are hundreds and hundreds varieties of minds, So also there will be hundreds of paths. So there is no need to either convert one to your way, nor there is a need for you to give up your path and follow another path. That is also not desirable. You believe in something, you believe in karma, it helps you, it solves your problem. Why should you bother about trying to reconcile? If you try to reconcile, you can never do it. A tiger can never reconcile with a sheep or a goat. Tiger will say, I am born to eat other animals. Goat says, I am born to eat grass. So they will remain eternally separate, isn't it? So you can't say, why are you eating meat and why I am eating grass, so you should also eat grass. That is not the right way. So, in that sense, when there is so much of diversity, reconciliation is not possible. But the only reconciliation is you follow your path, I follow my path. That freedom. That is why they say spirituality means freedom. Physical freedom, mental freedom, spiritual freedom. Why should anybody be forced to do anything? Just do what you like. Okay? Yeah. So we'll continue. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.